Humans, everyone knew, didn't belong on ANJIIN. How they'd gotten to the planet, why they'd come there, all of that was lost in the fog of time and history. A sect of Galatians claimed that they'd arrived on a massive ship like Pishta's fabled ark, but one that traveled between stars. Sarentist theologians said that God had opened a rift that let the faithful escape the death of an older universe, where some terrible sin, opinions varied on its exact nature, had convinced the deity that genocide was the lesser evil. Or, if you were open to a little more poetry, a giant bird had carried them from Erebus, the planet next closest to the sun, which had possibly been their home world until the sun grew angry and turned their fields to wastelands and boiled away their skies. But the sciences could tell a story too, even if humanity's faulty memory had smeared the details. Life on ANJIIN had begun billions of years before, with a system of aperiodic quasi-crystals of silicon, carbon, and iodine. That life had used the quasi-crystals to pass on instructions to the next generation, with occasional mutations that made some organisms do a little better. Over long eons, a complex ecosystem grew in the ANJIIN oceans and across its 4 vast continents. And then, 3,500 years before, and apparently out of nowhere, humans showed up in the fossil record with incredibly dense helical coils of lightly associated bases strung like beads on a necklace of phosphate. And not just humans. Dogs and cows and lettuce and wildflowers and crickets and bees, viruses, mushrooms, squirrels, snails. A whole biome unprecedented in the genetic history of the planet popped into being on an island just east of the Gulf of Daesh. Then, barely a century after that first appearance, something, no one was sure what, had turned most of that island into glass and black rock. And while whatever records those original settlers may have brought with them disappeared at that point, a few remnants of this new biome survived at the island's edges and on the nearby continental coastline, and it had spread over the world like a fire.